Hey everybody, this is Jack Allwell with another money episode. Today we are discussing land flipping. This is the idea of buying vacant land and selling it for more than we bought it. I hope you enjoyed this and let's get to it. So how did I find out about land flipping? So as many of you may know, I'm a very big proponent of real estate investing to create long-term wealth. And I was a guest on the Real Freedom podcast with Mark Swenson. And briefly after we recorded our episode, I was listening to his podcast, and he had a man on named Mark Podolsky, who goes by the term the land geek. And he was talking about a system where he basically would direct mail market to out-of-state landowners, offering them 25% of what he thought he could sell it for. Now, there are many land flipping companies out there and coaching. We got Land Investing Online. I know Ari Tipster's got a course too, I believe. Anyway, this really intrigued me, and I was curious on how does this even exist? And some of the things I came across were that a lot of these properties are so cheap that it doesn't really make sense for real estate agents to get involved because a commission on $10,000 really isn't that much, and it might not be worth their time to go through all that would need to be done to get this property sold. So there's a lot of inefficiencies at these low dollar amounts, and you could really make it up by just volume, just churning properties in and out, in and out. So how do we buy properties? So we send direct mail to out-of-state landowners, and the thought is that they might be not as connected to the land as someone in state. Now, this is not a perfect system, but in terms of getting lists to mail to, we've and many others have found this to be very helpful, and it works. So out-of-state landowners, us personally, we only mail to individuals. We don't mail to companies. And we're looking to help people that need to offload the properties for whatever reason. Maybe they owe taxes, they can't afford them, they just want to build up some liquidity. And perhaps in this coming recession, people will be looking to sell because they've lost a job, whatever it may be. And they might not know what they could really get it on a retail rate. So that's kind of how we buy. Now, how do we sell? And I think while I go through this, I'm going to show you what we've actually bought and sold the properties thus far. And I don't know if I mentioned, but back in April, I took a class after looking into this a lot and researching, and I ended up taking a class through the Land Geek. And it was a great class. Did pay about $8,000. And the way I analyzed how to even determine whether I should do it was, well, after listening to these things, if I bought a property for like $1,000 and could sell it for $4,000, well, I just need a few deals to break even. So I decided to take the class in April, and we're now sitting in November, and I'm pretty happy with the decision. So let's look at some of our deals thus far. One thing that seems to help is to get really familiar with a certain state or county. And it seems that a lot of the states out west, a lot of these land flippers tend to migrate to those. They seem to be a little more electronic friendly in terms of being able to do research online and conduct business online. And things seem to be a little more transparent. So we've been working in Arizona thus far. So our very first property, we actually bought for $2,000. And unfortunately, we haven't sold it yet. So sad. The next property we actually bought for $1,500, and we sold this on terms, meaning we were actually like financing this sale. And this came on a neighbor letter, meaning we actually looked up on the parcel viewer online the surrounding parcels to this plot of land, and mailed to those people asking if they wanted to buy it, because the thought is, okay, they're living there right now, it looks like, and if these were not out-of-state owners, they haven't received a letter from us, and they might be willing to buy it. So we actually bought this one for $1,500 and we got $300 down and we were getting $150 for 36 months. So that is a total of $5,700. Now that very same woman that we sold this plot to mentioned that if we could find any more plots by her or by this plot, that she would be very interested. So what we did is we looked at, and this is just goes to show you it could just be an information gap. We went online, looked up the parcels surrounding this parcel that we just sold for $5,700, and we found 3 more actually that we were able to attain from another investor at a wholesale price for $5,800. And we turned around and sold it to that same woman for $1,000 down, $400, 36 months, which is $15,400. And this probably took, I'd say, a couple hours total to complete. Now, one thing is we did have to outlay $5,800 here, and we're only getting $1,000 back. So we're a little cash poor. But what we did is I went and financed after a couple months of them paying on time, and I felt a little more comfortable. I got a friend to lend me $5,800. So I basically got my original capital out of this deal and was paying him like 10%. So we were still netting about $200. So we now get $400 a month. I paid my buddy $200. We net $200, and we still have this cash to work with. So the next 2 parcels were the same size as this $1,500 one. Prices have been going down a little bit. So we got one for $1,400 and one for $1,000. We actually sold both of these for cash for $3,800. So we bought them for $2,400 together, sold for $38,000. And then there was one other property that is a 10-acre parcel. The guy owed about $1,400 in back taxes, and we got him to sell it. So he just wanted $1,000 because that's about what he bought it. He just wanted his money back, basically. So we were in it all. So we paid him $1,000 plus he owed the $1,400. So we're in it for $2,400, and we have not sold this one, but we think we could get potentially $18,000 or about $9,000 if we sold it to a wholesaler. So we currently have these 2 in inventory, and we've sold these, I guess, 4 different deals, but it's really many. This was 3 parcels, so 6 parcels we've sold. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what you could expect if you got into this. And if you have any questions, list them in the comments and I'll try to get to them. And if you have any questions on the neighbor letters, I'll also put a link in the description as to my video where I explained how I create my neighbor letters. Take care.